What's up, guys? Scott Jansen here. In this video, I'm going to introduce you to our brand new 6-stage conversational hypnosis program, which is our fitter formula model. I'm going to take you through a walkthrough really of this entire program, show you what you're going to get, show you what you get once you enroll, show you all the content, give you a walkthrough of the most important parts of this program, and showing you obviously how to enroll as well. So as it stands right now, guys, with this walkthrough video, what I'm going to do to make it really, really simple, the first part of this, let's just do a quick overview. Take a couple of minutes. I'll show you through the course, show you what it's all about. Then if you want to learn more about what's in the program, all the intricate details, how this is going to be different than all the other programs you've learned, all the other details and modules and stuff, go to the second part of this walkthrough, and I'll actually put together a collaboration of videos and content from the actual program to show you more of the points I'm trying to make with this walkthrough video. Also show you how to use conversational hypnosis therapeutically, show you how all of these details and what's going to happen in this program will be a vast change to the way you've done hypnosis in the past. Before we get into that, I first want to preface this. When people think of conversational hypnosis, maybe they've done some training in the past, they think of language patterns, meta models, Ericksonian type stuff, writing scripts, the regressions, the clunky language and all that. I'm here to say it's none of that stuff. What I'm going to be showing you is how to use conversational hypnosis therapeutically. This is a program with 54 lessons in total, plus action items, bonus content, master classes and things like that, with just under 60 hours of content. The last thing I do in this program is talk about the hypnosis side of things. If you look at the majority of trainings out there, where's all their focus? All the focus is on relaxing a client, putting a client deeper, using direct suggestions, writing scripts, preparations, audios, homework, and what I call a lot of forced techniques, forced visualizations, forced walk down the stairs and relax, forced regressions, forced a lot of timeline stuff, and all of this sort of stuff with the underlying keyword there of forced is really hit and miss with our clients. So what you're going to be learning in this program is how to create natural therapeutic trances to get an actual therapeutic breakthrough with your clients. Now, this program essentially is best for people that are maybe just starting out in the industry, who are curious about conversation hypnosis, curious about how to use therapy with real clients, and maybe they're just starting out. This program is for you because this is a basic conversation hypnosis program. Even though we do get into some very advanced territory, I keep it basic enough so even the most novice therapists will understand this. And what's crazy is I guarantee by the end of this, even if you're brand new to the industry or brand new to conversation hypnosis or therapeutic therapy in general, I guarantee your understanding of real therapy will bypass even some of the best masters in the industry. Okay, that's a big thing to say, but I guarantee it will happen. This could also be for people, guys, who have maybe done trainings in the past that are sick of the scripts, sick of spending 2 hours preparing things, sick of having to see their clients 5 or 6 times, sick of making the audio, sick of doing the homework, sick of doing the visualization, spending 2 hours of their time reading through a script and talking to their clients. When their client pops out the other end, nothing's changed, and the therapist, which is you, is absolutely exhausted by having to do too much and spending far too long with clients. This program, I guarantee, will change all of those things. So we're going to be doing this with no scripts. We're not going to be drilling language patterns because it's pointless. No, you're going to have to worry about giving homework or audios. We're not going to be using pendulums. There's no going to be like NLP techniques, meta models, Ericksonian models, timeline and all that sort of stuff, like NLP stuff that's sort of hidden inside hypnosis and things like that. No abstract ideas like past life regressions or past lives or anything like that, because really that stuff really can't be proven. There's no relaxation techniques, no visualization, no regressions, no multiple sessions, and no spending, multiple sessions and hours with client after client after client that's really fixing the same symptom over and over, okay? If you want to learn more about how that's going to work in a lot more detail than I've just talked about, go to the second part of this video and I'll go through all of those details there. But let's go through the quick walkthrough now and you guys can see what you get. So for this program below, you'll see a button that says enroll. The enrollment for this is only $297 Australian dollars, which is, Ilwilm is giving this away for free. And that's close to 60 hours of content. You get lifetime access to the content. Also, what I tend to do with a lot of my premium programs is I tend to redesign programs and give more content, go into further detail and things. So this program as it is, it's about 60 hours now. Over the next year or so, it might go up to 100 hours, whatever I decide to do to make this more applicable for you guys so you guys can master it easier, but also you can apply it and actually get results. You don't pay extra for any of those new bits of content. You just get the next best version. That's lifetime access to that. Lifetime access to the training platform, which is Kajabi. You don't have to pay a fee. We take care of all of that. Essentially, you're getting 60 hours of a conversation hypnosis program that you're not going to see anywhere else without all the scripts and stuff like that for $297. Okay, very simple, ridiculously cheap, but you're going to get a lot from this. Okay, so let's go through here. Once you've enrolled, guys, this is what the screen looks like. So you can see we cover everything over 6 weeks, okay, including all the bonus modules and all the masterclass and things like that, but I'll go into a little bit of detail now. Let's move into week one. So week one looks like this. Week one is really just setting up the entire program and letting you guys know how it all works. Then part two of week one, I take you through what I call 30 minutes to master conversation hypnosis. And what it is really 30 minutes to master the understanding of therapy with clients. You'll notice I have a theme throughout this program where I talk a lot about, don't worry about the hypnosis. Don't worry about how deep a client goes. Worry about the therapy, because that's the only thing your clients pay for. And if you're having to read a script for 2 hours about relaxing a client, having them go deeper, looking at brain waves and stuff like that, your focus now is on the hypnosis, which leaves you very little time to do the therapy. That's why you need to see your client over and over, okay? But I'll get into more detail in the other half of this walkthrough, okay? So from there, we move into week two, and this is the entire Fitter Formula program, okay? So the Fitter Formula is our way to timeline this version of conversation hypnosis and really the therapy timeline. First thing we get into, the P stands for priming, the H stands for the hypnotic interview, the I and the T stand for the induction and the therapy. We actually do those things at the same time. The last T is for testing and tasking, and the R stands for repeat. Now, repeat is not repeating another session. You know, I've got to sell a 6-pack to my client, something like that. We do something called mini sessions. So where a therapist might see a client over 6 hours, over 6 separate days and 6 separate sessions, we could do those 6 separate sessions all within an hour in one go. And that's why this thing is so freaking powerful, okay? Again, more details of that will be in the last part of this walkthrough. So that's the Fitter Formula action, guys. So we go through all the intricate details. I give you 3 inductions and 3 therapeutic models, okay? Because they're the same thing, okay? I'll give you something called the overloaded induction therapy. I'll give you something called the ETM, which is my personal thing that I created, which is the emotional trance method. And lastly, what we call a reviv/therapy. Okay, so there's 3 different ways, not 3 different ways you're going to put people into hypnosis, 3 different types of therapy styles that you can use. Okay, so that's week 2, goes into a hell of a lot of detail. We give you a ton of master classes. I give you a whole bunch of demos as well with demo breakdown so you can see this thing in action. But that's week 2. Week 3, I thought, let's go beyond just learning the hypnosis stuff and let's get into your own personal development. So what I'm going to give you in week 3 is my process for self-hypnosis, my process for advanced self-hypnosis, and also what I call my asymmetry goal setting. So asymmetry goal setting is if you are into personal development and you're stuck with motivation, you can't seem to get your ass into gear to do the work you're supposed to do, you have certain goals that you want to achieve and you've gone past listening to the audios and the affirmations, you've done all the, I've broken my abundance blocks and all that sort of rubbish that everyone talks about. This is how to apply what you need to do each day to get things done. Now, granted, this is a lot about how to start and grow your hypnotherapy business, and that's the way we've framed our asymmetry goal setting, but it can be used for any part of your life. However, if you are interested in growing your business from scratch, which is what we're known for, you'll be able to see these videos. And it's personal development on steroids. And I can guarantee if you haven't been in my programs before, you won't see this anywhere else. No vision boards, no visualizations, no affirmations, nothing like that. This is next level when it comes to your personal development, okay? Week 4 is one of my favorites, which is practice and master hypnosis with confidence. With that as well, I'll show you how to use Zoom for your sessions or Skype or even a mobile phone. And lastly, I'm going to show you how to use group hypnosis and actually use our emotional trance method in groups to hopefully get some clients from that to prove your skill as a therapist and all these cool things. So you're getting a couple of different things here. Your master hypnosis with confidence, be able to apply it with confidence, how to use Zoom, but also how to do group hypnosis. The next week after that, I thought, let's take it to a whole nother level again, and let's go beyond just the Fitter Formula. So I'm going to give you about 15 hours worth of advanced conversational hypnosis. So this takes the Fitter Formula, and to use my own thing I said before, this takes the Fitter Formula and puts it on steroids. It's a way to drastically speed up the fitter formula. Even though the fitter formula you guys are going to learn is so stupidly quick and powerful, the ACH, Advanced Conversational Hypnosis, takes it to a whole nother level. This is pure mastery. Again, no scripts, no visualizations, no regressions, no timelines, no past lives, no pendulums, no, preparing language patterns, nothing like that. There's about 15 hours of content there. And lastly, as a last bonus, guys, I'm going to give you an introduction. If you are interested in learning how to build your business from scratch, how to build a six-figure, multiple six-figure hypnotherapy business from scratch, I give you some of our important videos that are taken from one of our other 100K coaching program. You guys will be able to see that as well. There's a ton of content there. We talk about niching, we talk about pricing, we talk about systems, we talk about how to get your first couple of clients, all of these sorts of things. I've decided to throw that in as a bonus because I want you guys to succeed. The biggest part of this program, guys, is not just theory. I'm not interested in having you learn theory and concepts and abstract ideas about where hypnosis started and what it's all about and how the mind works. We don't need any of that. What I want to spend our time together doing is the application of therapy. It's not how quickly can I put someone into trance. It's not how deep can I have them go. It's not how can I have the pendulum move. It's not how can I write down the best language patterns to wow my clients. There's nothing stage hypnosis. Think of this purely as a therapeutic program, and you have close to 60 hours of that, okay? So like I said, check out the button below. It's $297 Australian dollars. If you're interested to see more of the program and certain parts of it, keep watching this video, and then you'll be able to see I put a collection together of videos that are taken from the program to prove some of these bigger points and make it really crystal clear about what you're going to get and why this is different. If you're looking to enroll, just click on the button below. If not, keep watching this video and let's go through these separate videos and let's go through about how to use conversational hypnosis therapeutically, understand more about the fitter formula. I'm also going to take you guys through the entire fitter formula timeline in comparison to more the traditional scripted things, show you all the holes and the flaws and the more traditional stuff, and show you why this thing works so ridiculously well, okay? So guys, thanks for joining me. I look forward to seeing you in the program. Bye for now. And this is what it looks like. This is more the traditional scripted formula timeline. It's pretty much how it goes. You have a client sit in front of you. If you're using the traditional stuff, you might explain to them what hypnosis is and what hypnosis isn't, okay? Then part two, you'll do like a suggestibility test to see if a client is suggestible for hypnosis. But what I'm about to show you guys is that everyone can be hypnotized if we break a lot of the myths that people believe in about hypnosis in general. Suggestibility test might say, if I can get my client's fingers to stick together, that means they can go into hypnosis. And like I mentioned before, people believe that as long as a client goes into hypnosis, it means they can be healed. Just because a psychological trick works where your client's fingers can lock together does not mean, which is more like stage hypnosis, does not mean they can be healed. Hypnosis and healing, or hypnosis and breakthrough, are two totally different things. I'll show you both so you get the best of both worlds. But just because someone can go into hypnosis does not mean they can be healed. Always remember that at the back of your mind. Then the therapist will move their client through like close your eyes, relaxation, induction. They have to get them to a certain brain wave to assume that, the client's in the healing stage of the process. And this is usually based on reading a script that's full of symptoms. I'm going to show you what an advanced script actually looks like if you're not familiar with that. Then what the therapist will move through when they quote unquote believe their client is in hypnosis, where they think they have access to the client's unconscious mind. Just because you have access to it doesn't mean it's going to listen to you. The therapist will then use direct suggestions like, you're a non-smoker, you're feeling healthy now, you no longer have anxiety, you can lose weight easy. But what am I doing right now? As a therapist at a basic level, I'm now telling not only a client what to do, but I'm fixing the symptom, because the weight is the symptom. The smoking is the symptom. I don't know what the real root cause is because I haven't investigated it properly to find out what it is. That's what I'm going to show you how to do. So that therapist will take people through direct suggestions like symptoms, using a client's word from the intake, but it's all symptoms and conclusions, what I call a symptom script. If you see a script that says stop smoking script, that's a symptom script because smoking is not the issue. In my over a decade of working with lawyers to quit smoking, yes, I had to talk about quit smoking to get them in the office. But when my clients sat in the office, all the reasons why they were smoking, their symptom, was for so many crazy different reasons, from everything from I was bullied as a child, I've got trauma, I've got weight issues. There's this. I've got this. I thought of this. My mum wouldn't give me $1 to go to the canteen at school to buy chocolate milk, whatever it is. And from there, to cope with that, the unconscious mind created this addiction to smoking later in life. All crazy types of stuff, okay? That's our goal. And you can't script this stuff. And also to realize that if you keep fixing the symptom, your client will keep having to come back. And the last part of the traditional stuff is usually the additional sessions. If you're having to see your clients multiple times, there's no other reason other than you're spinning around the symptom. If you have to give homework and audios, the whole idea behind that is a lot of people believe that if I give homework and audios, it becomes like repetition over time and the mind will finally get it. If my client's mind has decided that smoking is the best way to cope, and I, as the therapist, don't give the client's unconscious mind another reason to think about anything otherwise, I can tell it to be a non-smoker 1,000,000 times in a row. They'll still be a smoker. But let's say the unconscious mind says, okay, I'll get rid of smoking. That's fine, but not the root cause because that's the symptom. But I'm going to put, weight gain in place of it. And that's all that happens. People just swap problems for other problems because they're not getting to the root cause. When you get rid of the root cause, guys, or understand how to do that, which I'm going to show you how to do, the symptoms go away naturally. Smoking, the unsmoking, which is a symptom, happens naturally. Weight loss happens naturally. But in the traditional way, we're forcing clients to spin around the symptom. We want to avoid that as best as we can. So that's pretty atypical, guys. Okay, and you've probably seen that a lot of times. Here's an example of an advanced stop smoking script that I downloaded for free offline. Okay, supposedly written by an advanced hypnotherapist with 30-odd years in the industry, so on and so forth. But check this out. Knowing smoking is the symptom. Smoking is always the symptom. It's never going to be the root cause. But look at this script. The language is lovely. The paragraphs are great. It flows really nicely. But I've highlighted symptom, 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 symptom. I could have a script that's 100 pages long with 5,000 times of saying you're a non-smoker. You'll be a non-smoker. You'll leave the session a non-smoker. You'll live a new life as a non-smoker. But what am I doing? I'm repeating the symptom 1,000 times or 5,000. I can use repetition till the cows come home, but I'm fixing the symptom. And this is an advanced script, guys. And that's why these scripts do not work. Doesn't matter who trained you in it, what they say, what the conclusions are, who wrote it, how much it costs, whether it's advanced or has advanced language. Take a back step and realize it's all symptoms, okay? Let's go past the traditional. I want to look at the mindset of a hypnosis genius and understand this 6th stage I'm about to show you. Mindset of a hypnotic genius starts here. You cannot script a session written, bought, or paid for because it's going to be full of conclusions. You cannot prepare for anything. I mean, how could you sit there and write a script for 2 hours and prepare yourself when you have no idea of what a client's root cause can be? And the root cause could be millions of different things. It could be so abstract, like I saw a UFO when I was 5 years old and an alien waved at me. Now I have a phobia of spiders. That's how crazy it can be. It's not straightforward. So you can't script this stuff. You can't prepare this stuff because now you're mind reading. And I don't know what's happening inside of a client's mind until I talk to them about it, which I'm going to show you how to do during the hypnotic interview. There's no need to write notes. A lot of people get caught up in writing notes with their clients because they believe I write notes, I write down the key words my client wants out of the session. I can repeat those things back into the session when they're in trance, and we call this a suggestion. So if I ask my client, what do you want? And they say, I want to be a non-smoker and I want to feel proud, I might write that down. I want to be a non-smoker, I want to feel proud. Then when I put my client into trance, I should be able to repeat that and it becomes a suggestion. But what have I just done? I've written down their conclusion. Now, legally, in your state and country, if you have to write notes as part of your insurance, go for it. But it doesn't mean I've got to use those words back. Suggestions are irrelevant. I'm going to show you past all of that. Don't need to use my client's words because they're conscious versus unconscious. That's what they're telling me they want, but it's not what's happening in the unconscious. You cannot use a stop smoking technique or a stop, because smoking is the conclusion. It's a symptom. You don't need audios and homework because I could use audios and homework to repeat the suggestions for 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. But if I'm just repeating the symptom over and over, which is you're a non-smoker or you don't have anxiety, defeats the purpose. 99% of what your client tells you guys is a guess, conclusions, and thoughts. If you said to me, Scott, what's the biggest problem you have in your life? And I told you, that's my best guess. It's not what's really going on. I'm just telling you what I'm experiencing. but it's not what I need fixed. And it's the same thing for our clients, guys. And it's the same thing that you'll be experiencing in your life as well. So let's look at the fitter formula timeline. What we're going to do is this. Number one, we're going to do something called priming for about 3 to 5 minutes. This has prep and parameters and safety. It sets up what I call a healing trance compared to just a trance itself. Just because a client goes into trance does not mean they can be healed. I'm going to show you how to set up a healing trance. So by the time they quote unquote go into hypnosis, they'll start to have a breakthrough. Remember I said the induction, which is go into trance type thing, and the therapy are going to be done at the same time. We're actually going to be doing that right at the very start. Okay, really, really powerful. Second, we'll get into the hypnotic interview, which is I'll show you how to put attention, right unconscious attention into the right places. Number three, we'll do the induction, which is indirect therapy and breakthroughs. I'll show you the overload method, the ET, emotional trance method, and what's called a reviv. At the same time, I'm doing this hypnosis thing because we've already set it up in part one. Part three, we're going to use indirect therapy and breakthroughs. And you notice they're the same. Isn't that crazy? Okay. So as you do the induction, you're doing the healing. As you're doing the healing, you're increasing the induction. And it goes around in a circle over and over. The more trance I get, so to speak, the better the healing. The more healing I get, the better the trance. See where we're going with that, guys? We're not chopping it up into individual things. We're doing it all in one big take. Next, we'll look at tasking and conscious activities. Lastly, we're going to look at repeating. Repeating is a big thing. The idea here is instead of sending my client home after an hour, because that's when I finish reading my script, and then I have to get him in for another 6 times, and I have to start again each time, even though I'm going over the symptom. But in this case, the way I like to explain it is we're going to do individual mini sessions inside one long session. So while the traditional hypnotherapist might take an hour, where 20 to 30 minutes of that is just the induction, maybe 5 minutes on the actual therapy, which is pointless because all symptoms anyway. And the last couple of minutes are just sort of mucking around and telling stories and stuff like that. What we're going to do in an hour, we could get 10 little mini sessions, which would be equivalent to 10 one-hour sessions. Hopefully you see where I'm going. That's why this thing is so freaking quick. That's why we don't have to use audios and homeworks and stuff like that. The last part, we're going to use a demarcation, which is just to I sort of look at it as like putting a lid back onto the unconscious mind, locking it off so the client can't dig into it, can't negate all the good things that happen. There's a reason for that I won't get into now, but that's a really important part. So that's the fitter formula. Notice there's no scripts. We don't have to prepare any inductions. I don't have to prepare any words to say to my client. I don't have to get an audio or homework ready. We're going to do the therapy and the hypnosis all in the one big take, okay? So from there, ACH formula transitions away from that. We start our ACH program or ACH clients with getting very high-paying clients. The reason breakthroughs can happen very, very quickly is because of the motivation a client has, and the biggest motivation for a client is paying a lot of money for the breakthrough. I'll show you in the intro to ACH how that works. But then you'll see here, we have the hypnotic interview, the induction and advanced therapy, and the testing all looped together. It becomes just one big amalgamation of a very therapeutic conversation. And then lastly, we have the demarcation tasking. Now, I won't get into all the details of this because it won't make sense now. A little bit later in this program, I'll give you an insight. You'll be able to see that in action. But that's why the ACH formula is so quick. All right. So believe it or not, priming is the start of the induction and will actually give us a clear path in the unconscious mind and a therapeutic trance. If you understand this, you can literally turn every conversation into a therapeutic experience. Now, already you should notice, and you'll definitely notice throughout the rest of this program, I don't care about trances. I don't care about depth. All I care about, and I don't care about hypnosis, as a matter of fact, all I care about 100% are therapeutic trances, therapeutic healing, and therapeutic hypnosis. All I care about is the therapy. Now, if you just want to play around with hypnosis and have some fun, forget about the therapeutic part. But hopefully you've taken this program because you want to work with clients, you might want to build a business, you want to master this if you've already done some sort of therapeutic training in the past. So remember this, and I mentioned this at the start, and I'll reiterate through this entire program. Just because a client can relax, they can go deeper. Just because a client can close their eyes, just because you tell a client to walk down a set of stairs and go deeper, just because you tell your client to, I don't know, see your inner child, just because you tell your client to see a white light around them, maybe they can lock their fingers and do some stage hypnosis stuff. Just because they can follow that and all they are instructions does not mean they can be healed. does not mean that the place they go while doing these things, whether you call it relaxation or hypnosis, does not mean that place they go is full of healing attributes. This is so crucial. And no trainer talks about this because most of them are caught in there, or pretty much all of them are caught in the, as long as my client can go into hypnosis/trance, they can be healed. But they are so separate and so far from the truth, guys. That's why I concentrate on teaching guys therapeutic tools, not hypnosis. Because if I'm just teaching you hypnosis, we'll just do what every other program does. Show them how to relax, show them how to go deeper, show them what to see, do, and feel. That's not how therapy works. So even for a beginner, the best thing you can do, guys, trust me on this, stop caring about trances, stop caring about depth, stop caring about suggestibility tests, stop caring about relaxation hypnosis, stop caring about the best rapid induction, all that sort of stuff. If you're interested in working with clients therapeutically, all you need to worry about is the therapeutic healing. That's what this program will show you. Clients will never pay you to go into hypnosis. They pay to be healed. Why would anyone pay to go into hypnosis if all hypnosis is just this place where nothing exists? It's almost like a meditation. Okay, but you're not going to get healed from that meditation. What we're going to create is a therapeutic environment. So when they go into this thing we call trance, into this thing we call hypnosis, tools, resources, ideas, concepts, solutions are waiting for them. The solution to quit smoking, the solution to overcome anxiety, the solution to quit nail biting, all the therapeutic things I said you can work with, those solutions are waiting for them. If not, it's like you're sending them to a room inside your house with no furniture and just say, hey, sit in there for a while. I'd rather send them into a room with the furniture they want, the furniture they need, and they can rearrange the room and do whatever they want with that furniture and have some fun doing it. So number 2, by priming correctly, you'll set up a therapeutic trance. Remember, as I said before, relaxation is just that. I can sit on the couch, relax and watch a movie. Doesn't mean I'm going to get healed. Doesn't mean I'm going to overcome a problem. Just because relaxation has begun does not mean healing can or will take place. Separate those two things, guys. Relaxation is it's a byproduct. It's not a prerequisite. Remember this, guys, part 3, write this down because this will be something you can talk about with other therapists about, but it's also so crucial to have in the back of your mind when you're using these types of tools. There's 3 types of trances: relaxation, trance/hypnosis, and therapeutic trance. There's 3 things. Only one of these types of trances will get your client a specific goal or a specific result. Where most hypnotherapists concentrate on just relaxing a client, calling it trance and hypnosis because they're relaxed, and believing that you can now talk to the unconscious mind and give it direct suggestions, this is not the case. We talked about this before. The unconscious mind is purposeful. It's extremely stubborn. It will lie to you. It'll actually lie to the therapist and say, yes, it's doing something when it's not, because it doesn't want that therapist exploring the problem, because it doesn't want that person to know what the real problem is, because they're not ready to receive the information or the insight because it might be too painful or too emotional. That's what the unconscious mind does. That's the way it is. That's why it's so hard to overcome our own problems. The unconscious mind lies a lot if it feels you're not ready for that information. So if you, the therapist, believe that I can just put a client into trance and say, hey, unconscious mind, go do this, it might lie to you and say, yeah, I'm doing that, definitely. It's like saying to your child, go clean up your room. It says, okay, yep, I'm doing it. You knock on the door and say, you're cleaning your room? And the child says, yeah, but you know they're just playing around. Same thing with the unconscious mind. Now, there is a way, we're going to use this fitter formula, to get the unconscious mind on our side, on the therapist side, so you can work in tangent. I'm never, ever, ever, ever going to tell the unconscious mind what to think and feel, because that's not my place. So what is priming exactly? It's a collection of words, phrases, statements, and ideas that set up the correct therapeutic trance and allows the unconscious mind to start to pull important pieces together. So when a client does go into trance, the healing is ready and waiting for them. A real life example of this is like you go to the gym and you warm up. You might do some cardio, get the blood flow going, do some stretches, jump on the bench press, warm your shoulders up, warm your chest up to a couple of warm-up sets, and then you'll start to build into your big, heavy bench press. You wouldn't go in there cold, no stretching, no cardio, no safety, no water, no good food beforehand to get yourself sort of mentally prepared, but also the body strong with proteins and carbs and hydrated, and go and put your max bench press, because what's going to happen? You'll tear a muscle, you'll get injured. This is the same thing, okay? So the priming is getting the unconscious mind on our side, but setting up that therapeutic trance indirectly, okay? So always remember therapeutic trance. Always remember, I want to create healing environments, healing trances. I don't just want my client to relax. I don't want my client to just happen to go into hypnosis if there's nothing in there. I want them to go into a therapeutic environment that includes trance, that includes hypnosis, but also has the very solution they're looking for. So let's look at traditional versus 6-stage. On the left-hand side, this is usually how it starts. And this is a great way if you want to set up resistance in your client, or if you just want to put your client into hypnosis and have no healing, do the old traditional way. It's always scripted. And it starts with close your eyes and relax. And what they're doing right now, guys, remember the 3 types of trances? They're using the relaxation or trance environment, not the therapeutic or healing environment. It's not set up for therapeutic results. There's no priming. There's no setup. Then they'll deepen a client and look for brainwaves. They're just going into hypnosis. Remember, like I said, just because a client can go into hypnosis doesn't mean they can be healed. It's not therapeutic. There's no safety setup. There's no investigation of the problem. And that's our part 2. You would think that maybe, Scott, shouldn't we, investigate the problem first before we start inducting them into hypnosis? We're going to do it a little bit backwards for a reason. And I'll get into that reason why when we get to the hypnotic interview. Okay, so there's no investigation of the problem. And we'll do this after the priming. So if you recall all the way back from week 1, week 1, video 2, what did I say? A client's going to give you a symptom. And then the therapist spends 1 to 2 hours, if not 3 hours, of telling a client what to do, what to think, what to feel, see, notice, and how to solve their problem from pre-written instructions that spin around the symptom. How could a therapist know what a client's unconscious mind needs or wants if you're sitting there telling it what to do? Because now you're telling it what to do based on what you want your client to do. And that never works. Who likes being told what to do? Who likes being told they like to eat steak when they're a vegetarian? And you say, no, you're wrong. You love steak. No, I'm a vegetarian. No, you're wrong. You love steak. No one likes that conversation, but that's pretty much what the traditional is. Then the therapist will wake their client up, send them home with like homework, journals, audios, and stuff like that are all spinning around the symptom because they have no idea what they should have healed. Then they book them in for another 5 sessions with the thought that if I just keep repeating and using repetition, eventually the unconscious mind will play along. But it doesn't matter, guys, whether you give them 5 extra sessions, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years worth of sessions. If it's repeating the same mistakes over and over, you get more mistakes. If it's repeating the same symptom over and over, do you think the unconscious mind eventually is just going to go, okay, I'm sick of this, let me give you the root cause? No, it'll play along because it doesn't want you to explore what the real problem is, but also play along just because. You have to realize this, guys, when it comes to traditional. You've got to realize this if you want to create a therapeutic environment. What we're going to do on the right-hand side here is the 6-stage. Priming for safety, setup and parameters, creating a therapeutic environment without our client knowing. It's like creating like a surprise party without the person knowing. Eventually, everyone's going to jump out and say surprise, and that's going to be the healing process. Okay? The safety part is what I call setting up tent pegs for safety to rely on if an ab reaction occurs. And we'll go through the ab reaction drill at some point in this program. That'll make more sense when we do it, okay? I'm setting things up now that I can recall later if I need them. Then we get into hypnotic interview. After priming, we'll explore the problem to locate the root cause, separate symptoms, and put attention on the problem and results. But if you look at the scripted, traditional, they haven't done that. So they're around the symptom. So we're not only setting up a therapeutic environment, then we're going to find out what the real problem is, put all those things together, and thus the unconscious mind collects all those solutions and waits for us to put them in a place in that room, so to speak. The unconscious mind has a solution waiting. Then we'll get into the induction and the therapy, which is the formal induction / therapy. If you remember the timeline, we combine those things together. They're done at the same time. We're going to be putting a client into a therapeutic space. Remember that room with all the furniture that has been set up during the priming. So it's been done before the client even know we'd started. So in that room, when they go into it, the resource is there. The answer is there. The result is waiting for them. It's like the unconscious mind has the gift. Say, hey, I prepared this for you earlier. It's like one of those cooking shows. I put this in the oven. Here's one we prepared earlier. That's what we're doing. And then after we do that, we continue on with the fitter formula continuation. Okay, we have the testing, the tasking, the repetition, all the other little bits and pieces. But you see how the traditional stuff is missing all of these things. And all it's banking on is one thing, repetition. That if I repeat the same thing over and over, eventually I'll get a different result, which is a solution. Isn't that like the analysis of being crazy? Repeat the same thing over and over and expect a different result? Therapy is no different. And in this process, the 6th stage, we're setting up everything beforehand before a client can resist. So when a client falls into this trance thing or hypnosis thing, all the solutions, all the wonderful things they're looking for are waiting for them. Thus, once they find them, we don't have to continue on doing more and more sessions. We don't have to give homework and audios because we're not spinning around the symptom. The only reason you need multiple sessions, now right at the start, sure, because you're learning, you will need multiple sessions, no doubt about it, because you're practicing. But over time, you can have incredibly quick breakthroughs without the need for all the other curricular stuff. So our client has come out of trance. We've done all of the fitter formula, guys, after your successful use of either the overload or the ETM, okay? So we've gone through the fitter formula. Joe opens his eyes for the first time. You can see he was in this trance place. He went through some emotional stuff. You did the ETM on him. Everything was great. It's now time to complete what I call the first mini session. So I'm going to introduce this concept called mini sessions. So by mini sessions, I mean that the fitter formula is complete. The entire thing is complete, except for the R. We now need to get feedback on the results. We will utilize testing to see what has worked and what hasn't. So here it is, guys. Joe opens his eyes for the very first time, as in he's gone through that entire process with you. You've gone through the first part of the fitter formula. You're at the therapy, the induction in the therapy stage. Joe opens his eyes. It's now time, as you see with the masterclass coming up very soon, to do some testing. Essentially for now, testing is going to find out, Joe, where did you go? What happened inside that room? And was being in that room once for the last 20 minutes long enough to get a result? Hear what I said there. Was being in that room once for the last 15, 20 minutes, it could be 5 minutes, guys, doesn't really matter. Was that long enough for you to figure everything out? Okay. And this is where the concept of mini sessions comes into it. What essentially we do with the fitter formula is the R part, even though we haven't done testing and tasking yet, the R part is we are going to repeat, essentially put Joe back into that room as many times as he needs to create one long breakthrough. Okay. So where the traditional therapist would send their clients home now, like they've finished the end of their script, they've done the technique, and now it's like, okay, it's come up to the 60-minute mark. I now need to send you home. They don't do testing, they don't do tasking, they know nothing about repetition. And what they'll basically do is send their client home with some sort of homework and audio, and they'll say, listen to this audio for the next 30 days, plus I'm going to book you in for next week and the week after because you've bought 6 sessions from me. And that's that old broken model that everyone goes through, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to repeat as many of these mini sessions as possible on the day. So before sending Joe home, I'm going to get as many of these mini sessions as I need to done to get a result, however long that takes, whether it's 15 minutes in total, an hour in total, 5 hours in total, which is very, very rare. I don't want to send Joe home, and I definitely don't want to be seeing him time and time again. Now, as you first start being a hypnotherapist, multiple sessions is fine. Okay, it's going to happen because you're practicing, you're learning. But over time, really great therapists don't add more to the sessions. They don't give away more time, more hours, more homework. What they start to do, if they're really good at what they do, they start to shorten the time of the breakthrough, okay? So why would we want to do this? Why would I rather do mini sessions and send Joe home an absolute winner rather than send Joe home with only a quarter of his problem solved, knowing he's got to keep coming back and back and back? Why don't I want to just do it all in one session? Well, here's the thing. If the therapeutic environment that I've set up with all the priming and all the good work that I've done, if it's set up, why would I want to send him home? Because each time I send Joe home, each time he comes back, I've got to start from scratch. And that's not even talking about going around the symptom over and over. I've got to keep setting up that therapeutic room and environment every single time. So traditionally, if a therapist in the traditional sense sees a client for an hour, they'll spend like 15 minutes on the trance and the deepener. They'll spend all this extracurricular time on just getting a client to this place we call trance, doing the suggestibility test and all that. Then only spending like 5 or 10 minutes on the therapy. Now, if I add that up over 6 or 7 sessions, I might get half an hour or 45 minutes worth of therapy done. What we're doing with the fitter formula is we're getting 45 minutes. If it goes for 45 minutes, we're getting 45 minutes of therapy done. So instead of having to take it 6 sessions, we can get all of those 6 sessions down into a very quick amount of time, okay? So here's how it would work. Like some clients, each mini session might take 5 or 10 minutes. If I do 5 or 6 mini sessions, that's my whole hour, okay? Just as an example. So it might be like each mini session only takes 10 to 15 minutes. With the third or fourth of that mini session only taking 5 minutes, or a whole session taking 45 minutes, like a whole 45 minutes in that room once, Joe opens his eyes, and then I send him back in that room again because he's not quite done it, and it takes 5 minutes. So 50 minutes in total. Hopefully you see my point. My point is to do as many of these cycles as needed until your client passes the testing with no knots left. Okay, meaning that they can't think about their problem the same. Their problem no longer exists. All the emotions are drained out of it from the ETM. There's just no way possible they can go back to that old problem. Now, I have seen my ACH students on so many occasions help someone quit smoking who's had the quote unquote addiction to cigarettes for 50 years straight in 15 minutes. But inside that 15 minutes, they sent their client into that room 5 or 6 times. So they went in, came out, went in, came out, went in, came out. It's like a fractionation. Okay. All blended into one long session. Okay. 15 minutes not being that long, but you get my point. There's that blending word again. It's not sending a client home, then getting them back and having to start all over again. That's just ridiculous. Okay. So part 3 of the fitter formula, or part 3 of the fitter formula, we know means repeat. And that's what I'm talking about here. The R is to repeat the last part of the fitter formula. Okay. Over and over and over again. And I'll give you an example on the screen in a moment what that looks like. Meaning you'll repeat these mini cycles until the mini sessions are complete and your client has no knots left. You might think, well, Scott, how do I know they don't have any knots left? How do I know that the problem's not going to come back? All that stuff. That's what the master classes will show you next, guys. Okay. Then part 4, I'm going to introduce you to advanced processing. Now, I was unsure whether I wanted to add this in, but it's so important and I really want you guys to excel at this. So there is a advanced processing masterclass. As you see in the masterclass, I'll take your client's breakthrough on a whole nother level by introducing not only testing and tasking, what we call sleep tasking, but also the art of processing. What we do with processing is essentially, and I say that word lightly, essentially, because it's so much more powerful, essentially the same of a traditional therapist sending their client home over and over and over again with homework and audios and things to do. I'm not going to do any of that. I'm going to allow processing to take place because it's the most important part of this whole sequence. But it is advanced, but I did want to add it in here, guys. So that's an additional masterclass for you guys. So this is essentially what it looks like, guys. We're going to repeat as many of these mini sessions. So when you do, client Joe comes out, his eyes open. I want to get some feedback, which I'll show you in the masterclasses what to get. We know how to ask Joe and stuff like that. Get some feedback from Joe. I want to do some testing to see what's happened. If he passed all the tests, or and then I can send him. I can essentially wrap up the session, which is called tasking, which we'll go through in the masterclass and then processing chat. But let's say I go through the testing phase and Joe fails the testing, and he starts telling me, you know what, I feel good about this. However, or but, that's just my cue to go, okay, Joe needs to go back into the room. And then I'm going to pull him out. I'm going to repeat the same thing. Okay, Joe needs to go back in again. With each one of these rooms representing, let's say this one here is like 10 minutes in the room. Then I send him back in. Then this part is like 25 minutes in the room. Send him back in for 25, comes out. This one takes like 3 minutes. This one takes 7 minutes. This one takes 30 seconds. All in all, as an example, Joe has spent 45 minutes with me total, but he's gone in and out of that room half a dozen times. That's what we're going for, guys, with the mini sessions. And that's what the R represents for the fitter formula. Now, when you're repeating, I'm pushing Joe back in to the into the room. I don't have to prime him again, but I do need to start at the hypnotic interview. I need to find out what's left. What hasn't Joe done? What's this new thought or idea that Joe's come up with that's not right? I don't have to prime again because the therapeutic environment's already set up, but I do want to pick apart whenever a client says, this feels good, however, or this feels good, but that just means there's a conflict. So I need to pick apart or investigate that conflict. Okay, Joe, what do you mean by this? Can you explain that? It's just the hypnotic interview over again. Put him back in the room, do the processing inside the room, let him play around with the furniture, whatever he needs. And then when he comes out again, I'll do some more testing, see if he passes those tests. If he doesn't pass those tests, I'm going to keep sending him in and out. In an hour, guys, I might do 30 mini sessions. I might do 2, I might do 1, I might do 15. You won't know until you do it. All in all, I want to make sure my client has a lot of resilience when they leave into the world. I want to make sure all the knots and all their cleaning is completely, all their thinking is complete clean. There's no knots, there's no conflicts, which means that my client can now get on with their life and never, ever, ever, ever have to worry about their problem coming back.